Welcome back, everybody. I'm Sean LaFlock. I'm here with Scotty Hagnes. This is Conversations, Fitness, Wellness, and Longevity. Scotty, how's it going?
That's going pretty good. Doing pretty good.
Awesome. So we've had a week off. We're back at it. This is we're a little over a year of doing this now, and I think I think we talked about last year's games, but we talked about this year's games, and I was actually up in Madison for the 2017 CrossFit Games. They had the individuals, teams, and the Masters athletes all going at once Thursday through Sunday.
It's been pretty wild.
Yeah,
with all that much going on.
Yeah, lots going on. I was coaching my Masters athlete Myra Brandt throughout the weekend. It was a full-time gig for probably 6 days straight. So we flew in on Tuesday, like late morning. There's about an hour difference from where I am. We went right to the hotel, dropped stuff off. I believe we from there just did just got some grocery shopping done and all that kind of stuff. And then the following day we had check-in, which was on Wednesday. So we had over 200 athletes checking in at 11 o'clock, and it was a complete disaster. This is their first time in Madison. I don't think they anticipated everybody showing up at once, but I don't think it's as local as, say, Carson, where there's a bunch of athletes that can kind of live nearby. They come and go, whatever. We had legit 200 athletes who were standing in line at 11 o'clock to go through the entire, merchant village to get all their clothes and shoes and all the giveaways and that kind of stuff. So we were in line for an hour just to sign up to go through the village approximately 2 hours later. So we signed up at 11, then Myra and I went through it about 1:30-ish, and then we had an athlete briefing at 3 or 4. I think it was 3, and then we had to get a workout in, and then at 4 was the coaches meeting, and then at 5 was the athlete briefing.
Man.
So by 6 o'clock, 6:30, we were out of there, but we had to, the Masters were the only athletes that didn't get to try the obstacle course until the next day. So Thursday morning, they had to be there at 6:30. They didn't get corralled until 7:10. Then they got pulled out to the O course, and then they had to line them up in groups of 10. So there's 120 athletes, men, and then everything from So 120 athletes in groups of 10 got 4 minutes each. So it took them about 40 minutes just to set it up, and then they started getting people through every 4 minutes, and it was torrentially downpouring, about high 50s, people just standing out in the middle of the O course just getting drenched. And then when you got on the O course, it was soaking wet. So, logistically, that part of it was pretty much a disaster. But that being said, everybody had to go through it. Nobody was exempt. Everybody had to be there. You couldn't sneak away or anything like that. So Thursday morning, 6:30 to about 9:30, they were doing the O course. And then they had the run, swim, run at about 11 o'clock. All the events went off without a hitch. Every single one of them was right on time. But some of the planning around it was just rough. It seemed like they were a bit understaffed this year, as it was their first year in Madison. Because, usually you could take all the staff from the teens and masters prior to the event, and then they stick around, and then you're just doing the teams and individual competition. But now you have 4 different competitions going at once, which means you have to have twice the manpower. Then they just didn't have that. So in that regard, it was a bit rough. All the warming up was done in one central area, along with a lot of the logistical stuff and checking in, all that kind of thing. It was away from the Coliseum and the age group pavilion. But it was really well done there. Everything you needed: weights, warm up area, rigs, assault bikes, rowers, assault air runners, and then they had an actual individual side for the individual. So for the 80 athletes who made it as an individual, they had their own area as well that was kind of segregated from the teens, teams, and masters athletes. But the flow of it was very, very good in terms of the competition itself. It was just some of those little logistical things. Like after the first night, first night of competing, we had to wait and then get our vests done for the Saturday, and that took another hour. So people weren't leaving there till 7:30. And they got there, about 6:30, 7 o'clock. They got there at 6:30.
Oh, geez, that's
so it's just a long day. And
Yeah.
a lot of people were reminded of like military, where it's just hurry up and wait. It's just like, oh, why are we here? Like, well, that's just the way it is. You just got to stand around and wait. And then, oh, all right, here we go. Now we're going to start. No, we're going to wait for another half hour, whatever it might be. So it's definitely a mental test. And I think it was very easy for us to get into the negative. This is bullshit. Why are we doing this? I should say something. But realistically, there's nothing going on that's wrong. Everybody had to do this. Just keep a positive mindset. Everything is going to work out just the way it should. Like, we all have to do the same thing. So in that sense, I think, that just sticks out in my mind of one thing that happened in the weekend.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, we got another meeting with somebody that was a judge there here in a couple hours. So it'll be cool to see what kind of perspective I have with some of the staff.
I mean, they were on point. The judges were on point. Really didn't see any sketchiness with the officiating or anything like that. It was legit. I mean, we didn't get a no rep the entire weekend. I mean, obviously we really work on those things, but nothing was out of the ordinary. They were really, the other thing was that the Masters events in themselves, the first event on the first day was a run, swim, run. Then it was the max snatch. So, no real, it was very objective there. It's like, all right, this is your time and this is this, and that's it. The Saturday workout or the Friday morning workout was an assault bike overhead walking lunge. So nothing crazy there, just very objective things. Your knee touches the ground, you stand all the way up, you make it across the course. The assault bike is the assault bike. After that was the O course. Again, just get across the course. And then that
made it easy to judge.
Right? And then the evening was chest to bar, toe to bar, and clean and jerks. No problem judging there either. Like, get your chest to the bar, get your toes to the bar, and then get the bar over your head. Saturday started off with a double under power snatch workout. Pretty straightforward there. Second workout that day was running, air squats, burpee box jump overs. No issues. The third event in that day was like a kind of a chipper / ladderish kind of thing. It was it started off with 10 muscle ups, a 50-foot handstand walk, and then a 25-foot, 150-pound sandbag carry. And then 10 muscle ups, 25-foot handstand walk, 25-foot sandbag carry, 10 muscle ups. Oh, sorry. It was 10 muscle ups, 30 wall balls, handstand walk, sandbag carry. And they did that 3 times, and the muscle up stayed the same. The wall ball stayed the same. It's just the distances on the sandbag and the handstand walk changed. So it just finished off with a 30-foot handstand or a 50-foot sandbag carry. So again, a very objective kind of thing for the judging. And then so that was the last event of that day. And then on the last day, Diane, and then into a 6 rope climbs, 30 thrusters. So in terms of the ability to judge all this stuff, awesome. Really, really good. Well-selected workouts, tested different varieties of fitness. Really didn't leave too many holes in there. The one thing that you might see kind of sometimes is pistols in these kind of competitions. But I think they kind of left it out just based upon the fact that it's an age group. So even though 35-year-olds potentially could be regionals or even games competitors, they kind of shy away from it just because they don't want the 45, 50-year-olds kind of having to do the same thing.
Yeah, I guess I could see that. And with there's been more lunging work, so they kind of covered that single leg domain with the overhead lunge anyway.
Yep. I mean, this could be like a 4-part conversation in terms of like what this whole weekend was about. I mean, but
sure.
Obviously I just kind of want to talk logistically about the whole thing and what Madison was like and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like maybe we can go more into a little bit into athletes and the workouts themselves, etc. So this might be one of a multi-part series, I suppose. But you had been to Aromas, right? You competed actually in Aromas. And you've been to Carson. I actually, when I went to Carson, I wasn't there for the individuals and the teams. I was only there for the Masters last year, Masters and Teens. How was it for a spectator at the individuals?
Oops. You there? I
Yep.
guess. Yeah. So the year that I was at Carson was when they still did do the Masters
At the same
simultaneous.
Yep.
So 2012 was the year that I was down. And I'm almost thinking that there were teams and individuals would sometimes go at the same time. So this is when they would use the track for a number of events for both individuals and teams, and then other things were done in the tennis stadium. They were not using the soccer stadium yet at that point.
Yep.
But then there was I believe they called it the North Lot. It's kind of there near where the pavilion would be, and they have that just a paved area. The parking lot kind of cordoned off, and that's where the Masters got to do their thing.
Yep.
And so it was a matter of trying to figure out. And I was there. I had a number of friends that were in the various classes of the Masters division. So I was attempting to catch that, but I was actually there with CrossFit for Vancouver, who were obviously competing, and sometimes I'm trying to juggle being at certain places at certain times or really tricky. It was a great experience. I mean, I had a great time, and it was really cool, but it was very difficult to logistically take it all in. Because even just getting, like you're at the tennis stadium, well, you give your seat up because you want to go watch your buddy, over in the Masters area.
Yep.
And then you think you're going to come back to watch the next event or heat or whatever in the tennis stadium. Good luck. Your seat's gone, buddy.
Now, let me ask you this. Did they have separate tickets at that point for the individual competitors and everybody else?
Yeah, there was a ticket that you could buy that would get you access to the tennis stadium, and other folks didn't have that. You could watch like on a Jumbotron. Yeah, which was in the soccer stadium, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
I had one of the ones that gave me access to both sides, but not everyone had that. But even with that being said, I mean, it was, you could basically end up with no seat pretty much. Yeah. We learned that you would go in there and you camp out pretty early ahead of time and just stay there.
Madison, obviously, it was there's a coliseum that most of the stuff for the individuals is going on in. The run, swim, run obviously was outside, so it really wasn't hugely spectator friendly for that portion because you got to see like the beginning and in the end. In some cases, that was obviously an exciting part, but you'd have to either be down by the lake to go swimming or to watch the swim. But it was fairly accessible to all of the spectators, but it's just like you could kind of see it and that's it. It wasn't where like you can watch them do the run somewhere and then see them do the swim and then have them come back to that position. It was like basically out and then come back. But then all the other events, they did the O course, which everybody was allowed to go watch. The cyclocross stuff was in a field off somewhere, like about a mile away. So even the athletes were kind of bussed there. So unless you really want to hump it up there, you can go see the cyclocross. And even in that case, I was under the impression that it was just a flat area. It's like undulating. So as soon as they came across you, now they're going over a hill and they're gone. So you get a little taste.
Yeah, you could post up and see kind of where people were very well.
Yeah, exactly. You could just kind of see them go by, and that was it. The obstacle course was probably the most spectator friendly one because they had a huge amount of stands set up over there. And then there was I think that was it. I think they had the run, swim, run, the cyclocross, and then the obstacle course. That was kind of like anybody can go watch. And then all the other events were in the Coliseum. The Coliseum itself was pretty cool. I love the idea that you take the heat and the weather out of a lot of the equation for a lot of the athletes, and it also leads to a pretty cool atmosphere within the actual event. I mean, the snatch workout was insane. A few of the night workouts were insane in terms of the spectators and the electricity within the actual facility was pretty spectacular. Watching it on TV. Or watching it online, it seemed pretty friendly for that. So there's no real. I mean, and I thought Carson was good as well. So that's not like they missed out on something. One thing I will say is that there's a bit of mystique about like working out in the sun in Carson, California, and having kind of like that CrossFit feel there. It almost felt regionals-esque watching
Oh, right, because
them
we're
go.
used to regionals being indoors for the most part.
Yeah, so I
Yeah,
guess if
yeah.
this is your first time watching CrossFit, it's a little bit different. But like for people who are experienced in viewing this stuff, it's kind of like it's like indoors. It's, I mean, they took great care of utilizing the space well, and the equipment was on point, and like the actual production was very good. This was the first year that CBS Sports took over because ESPN usually does it, but they were okay. I mean, there was a lot of bugginess in terms of the website and the app that they'd been pushing over and over and over again. None of it worked. There was no cell signal within Madison just because there's so many people and just so much demand. So that was really rough about actually trying to get, some kind of live stream up or calling somebody or FaceTiming or
Man,
Facebook
yeah.
Living. Couldn't get any of that done. So, I mean, and then here's the other thing is that most of the stuff for the Masters and the teens was done in the age group pavilion, which was basically, from what I heard, up until 2 days prior to the competition, they were storing agriculture and hay bales in. So literally like 2 days before the CrossFit Games, it was filled with like cows and hay bales and like crap. And they just had to clean it out, gut it out, and then they started putting up stands and rigs. It felt like early regionals-esque, like something like I would have at my fairgrounds up here in terms of what
Oh,
the
yeah.
age groupers were doing. There was no like if you were taking pictures of people as they were competing, there was no like signage behind it that said CrossFit Games. It was kind of like they were throwing down in some kind of local competition in some ways.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, that does remind me of some of the early regionals. Like we used to have the Northwest regionals used to happen in that. I don't know if it's the Washington State Fairgrounds. It's a great big
Yeah.
rodeo pavilion, and it
Yeah.
was a dirt floor, And if you were going to do snatches or something, they threw down a piece of plywood.
That
And
was it.
you hoped it was all level enough. Your barbell didn't want to roll off it all the time, and there you were.
Yeah, yeah. That was the feel of it. It was closed. It was, not much airflow in there. And it was dirty. But again, like I'm not one to
Yeah,
complain. But you're at the CrossFit Games. You're at
yeah,
the highest level of competing in the world. I know it's Masters, but you know what? Like these people paid $250 a pop to go to the CrossFit Games. They've competed for months to get there, and they got one. They got one event in the Coliseum. They got their assault bike overhead walk and lunge. They got one
yeah,
event. So that's what happens when you're doing things simultaneously.
yeah.
Everybody got one event as a Masters and a team, and that was it. I mean, the Coliseum was cool. Have a big jumbotron kind of thing up there. It would have been really cool for them to have multiple events, but again, logistically, it's not going to work just because the individuals have to go and they have precedence over it. But it's interesting to see what they're going to do next year if they're going to do it all at the same time, again like this year. But they're going to have to step up the game in terms of the personnel that they have, and I know it's their first year. They're still working out the kinks of like where they need to be, when they need to be there, how long things are going to take. But hopefully they're looking at themselves objectively and they're taking the constructive criticism and they'll reach out to competitors and vendors and all that kind of stuff just to get some feedback so that they can make this thing an all-star, a knockout. Right now, I would say it's about a B as compared to the way it was run in Carson, which was very good. It's about a B right now. If they want an A, they're going to have to make some improvements.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. I mean, it sounds it's what I was able to see. It certainly looked like a pretty cool weekend event. Between the live stream just absolutely sucking, and then me having I had a number of commitments. I wouldn't have had a whole lot of time to be parked in front of my computer watching it anyway. I'm going to need to go back and watch the archived stuff now because I haven't actually seen too many of the events.
Yep.
I tried on a number of them, but there was no dice.
Yeah. The other thing that came to mind also is because I walked through the vendor village. I have a bunch of friends who own companies, and they come out to the CrossFit Games because it's usually a huge revenue stream for them. It was like dead. Yeah. So I think there's a combination of two things. One, the venue. Just being new, they're not in Southern California where people are just going there to, just spend money on CrossFit Games apparel and all that kind of stuff. But B, I think everybody's shifting to a lot more online sales. So, some of the companies weren't even out there. I mean, Progenics didn't have a booth, and they're one of the biggest, biggest companies when it comes to CrossFit and supplements there are. Rogue is obviously out there, Reebok's out there. There was a couple other things like Ramwad and Compex had some stuff, but was not nearly as extensive as what I saw in Carson. I mean, Carson was like a freaking fortress of people, and there was buzz and excitement, and everybody was over there. It was all right. And again, I think it's partly due to the fact that it was, in another fairgrounds type thing. It's like, oh, this seems like my throwdown in my local competition. Whereas at the games in Carson, it was outdoors. Everybody's kind of out. They're outside anywhere, whatever. Like, if do you really want to walk around inside when it's like beautiful, like Wisconsin weather, or do you want to just hide away inside like a fairgrounds lot or warehouse space for hours on end, looking at like CrossFit gear and stuff like that? So I don't know. It seemed a little to me, but again, maybe I'm being nitpicky.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, like you said, it too had something to do with changing market too.
Yep.
Yeah.
I will say Madison was beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
Cool. Yeah, I've not been there. Yeah, that's cool.
Never been to that central north area before. Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan. Never been there, but gorgeous area. You get off the plane, it's just rolling hills and cornfields and cattle, and it was beautiful. Just taking a drive. It was about a 20-minute drive from the airport to our hotel. Everything was very accessible, the highways and that kind of stuff. Really, really nice area. I think in that sense, it was a great pick for them. The price was right. We got a hotel, and then we just got food. So we got a hotel, we got a suite, so we could just cook everything there and store everything there. And I think we paid for the entire week. I think we bought like $120 of groceries, and that was it.
Wow.
So we made out really, really well when it came to that. So I definitely would recommend, if you're ever going to do those kind of longer competitions, you're better off just getting a suite, cooking, and doing everything like that. Go to a Trader Joe's and spend $100, $200 on groceries. You just kill it like that. That was a knockout. I mean, we were there for 6 days and we spent $120. It's not like we were meager in terms of what we were doing. We were trying to eat and perform and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, eat to perform. Yeah. That's we've traveled that way for a long time. It's something we do, not just for competition. Just that's how we travel with family. Is you can always get a suite, go to the store. We'll go out to eat maybe once. There's a special place, but for the most part, I mean, you can save so much money and eat so much better. If you just do it yourself.
Yeah, and I think that's actually a great point for anybody who's watching this and you're not even thinking about, going to a fitness competition, is like, if you're looking to stay on point in terms of your diet and shit, spending a couple extra bucks on a suite, go grocery shopping. Don't leave anything to chance. Like, and not to mention, you're going to be spending so much more money in the long run if you're spending multiple days there. Are you kidding me? 3 meals a day eating out, that's like at least $15 to $20 a meal. Say you're there for 5 days, and you're spending an extra $10 a meal, and you're just one person. So they say that's 30 extra bucks a day, 30 maybe $40 a day. You're spending probably extra $200 to $300 on eating out through those 4 or 5 day period. Take that money, buy the suite for an extra $50 to $100 a night or whatever it might be, and then that's it. And then you're also eating properly over that period of time.
Yep. Yeah, totally.
So
highly recommend that.
You've got that down. It's taken me 31 years to realize that. So,
yeah, I mean, places when it's not practical will attempt to. Most hotels will give you a fridge if there isn't one in the room. They do have some portable ones they'll give you, or maybe, I know it's not optimal, but a microwave. But if that's all you can get, we actually just recently upped our game and got a combo pressure cooker, slow cooker that is about. I'm making a gesture of about a foot square.
Yep.
And the packaging, it's got, styrofoam. We actually take that in our luggage when we fly places. Nice. And when we know we aren't going to have a full suite. And you can throw shit in it in the morning.
Yep.
Pop it in there, program it, go out, do whatever you're doing all day, come back, you got dinner done.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. And the other thing I was thinking of is maybe even just getting a little portable hot plate and bringing a pan with you. I mean, that could be, depending if you're driving or flying.
Yeah, I believe we've done that at some point as well.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Not recently, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, again, like there's lots of ways to do this. Give me a second there, Scott. There's lots of ways to do it, but if you plan it out. I mean, you can not only you can always, save a good amount of money, but also you're eating a lot more clean and sticking to some things that you would want to be had you been home, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, just going over the logistics of the games. The other thing that was about Madison was it's the fittest. Supposedly, I heard it's the fittest city in America. I didn't know that.
Wow.
So I think it's Fitbit has kind of put that out. Whereas like
Oh.
they, through their metrics, whatever they might be, have kind of analyzed all the different various data that comes in, and they kind of, hey, it's the fittest city on earth. But it's pretty cool to see that. And there's a lot of cool like trails and bike paths and all this kind of stuff. And the lake that was right there in Madison it's 12 miles around and has a bike path all the way around it. Paddleboarding,
nice.
canoeing, kayaking, the whole deal. So in that sense, I would definitely go visit that again, just if I wanted to get away and have somewhere that wasn't sweltering in the summer.
I've been meaning to make a trip up to that general area, up to Minneapolis, and see my friend up there.
Yep.
And it'd be good to check out. Or maybe I'll make the games next year. Make it there.
Yeah, there you go.
Check out, spectate. Really quick, before we run out of time, I was curious, what type of recovery or regeneration strategies did you guys have to employ over the course of the weekend, if any?
So we they had the Rosti, soft tissue therapy and K-taping guys there. We did it like once, and we're just like, that's just not worth it. Honestly, it was eating. We did hot tub a couple times because there was a hot tub in our hotel just to kind of loosen up the legs and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But maybe some heating packs just to kind of loosen up. I think our best stuff was done prior to the games, and I think that's the biggest thing. Go in with your body in optimal recovery position, inflammation down, massage therapy. We're doing Normatec boots every single day, so get ahead of it early. That's my advice. Like, there's nothing that you can do once you're already there. You should be eating right, sleeping right, massage, chiropractic work, Normatec boot work, all that stuff is what we did months leading up into it. And when we got there, she felt fine.
Yeah, that's it. That's money. If you can do that, that's where you want to be.
Yeah. And then just
awesome.
making sure that you're in a comfortable environment and that you're be able to sleep well.
Yeah.
And I think
awesome.
that's what we did. So part one of our multi-part series, we have a lot more to talk about the CrossFit Games, but I think that's all for today. I'm Sean LaFlock. You can get me at Sean@CrossFitDiaryBeach.com.
I'm Scott Hagness. You can get me at Scott@CrossFitPortland.com.
Awesome, Scotty. I'll talk to you next week, bud.
Awesome. Talk to you next week.
Later.